Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Welcome to the Thursday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Little bit of a scheduling change. We were originally going to have Jeff Belanger on tonight. He had to reschedule for Monday, so we pulled Monday's guest, Carter Buschardt, up to today. And I'm telling you, we got a great story for you. First time that Carter will be talking publicly about his alien contact. Let's say hello to each and every one of you. Race fan in the gold medal position. Tim Mothman in his goatee in the silver. The attorney at large, Michael Morris, with a bronze medal tonight. Samantha Hazelwood Gray, Brown Dwarf, Jimmy Gonzalez, Sapphire Elf. Good to see you all. Missouri Man, Canada Chef Chris, how you doing? Good to see you guys. Dino Bravo and Ruth Kleber, what's going on? Stargazer and Road Flare, nice to see you both. JSCO, how you doing, buddy? Big Logic, welcome to SOR Chat. Lee the Bee and Lisa C, Rat Sass, and Paramarv, thank you all for coming on in. Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means you can officially start this show. Let's continue on here. Terrible Times is back. Terrible Times will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Purple-haired Pixie Lara, how are you, beautiful? Mary R. and Asteroid, good to see you. Nick Adkins, thanks for coming on in. W. David Page and Millennium, my man, good to see you both. Eva, how are you? There's Monica. Little Cam 51 over on Twitch. Little Cam will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. From Stockholm, Sweden, starting at left wing tonight, wearing number 19, Lars Jonsson. Luffy Pirate, Barb Madison, good to see you both. X, how are you? Just another guy named Harry, thanks for coming on in. Robert Lamoth, On the Rocks, Lightwalkers, Monica, how are you all? Eternity Eternal, nice to have you back as we continue on with roll call. There's Brian Drummond. Give us a wave, Brian. We'll always wave back. And Thomas Rock, Mentira, good to see you both. Hi, Pam Harris. Thanks for coming on in. Destiny Rocks, how are you tonight? Jeremy Jones, what's happening, my man? Zed Hut, nice to see you. Pam Harris again. Scott Rosen, A Spiritual Odyssey, what's happening? And Jeff Steve Garvey, he'll hit a home run for you. Continuing on with our roll call tonight, let us say hello to Polaris Sucks. Where you been hiding lately? Good to see you back. Rose Brooks, thank you for coming on in. David Hayworth, welcome to Spaced Out Radio's chat room. Noble Patrick and Pix, Jay Burke, thank you all for coming on in. Hey, Duck fan, what's happening? And we are caught up for right now. Remember, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Let's get the radio side going, shall we? And welcome to Spaced Out Radio's big show tonight. Carter Buschardt is our guest, talking not Bigfoot, no. We're going to talk some aliens with Carter tonight, as he has an exclusive with us to tell his news story. And we're just doing roll call tonight. And there is Bill WD-40 lubing us up for tonight's show as we speak, because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth, if you know what I'm saying. You don't want any of that rough, rigid stuff. Yeah, you always get stuck. So, thank you for coming on in. Roll call happening right now. Driftwood, How you doing? Desert Rat, thank you for joining us. Be the Arrow, nice to see you all. Kathy Hughes, good to see you again. And am I missing anybody? I don't think so. Once again, Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. Also, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag at our store. Nothing you're going to wear to mowing the lawn or gardening or picking up the dog shit on the side of the road. Nope, none of that. This is good stuff. And I'm going to sneeze here. Excuse me. Cliff Sy, nice to see you. Jorgen Johansson, how you doing, buddy? Good morning to you. Everybody else, horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon, the Space Travelers Club. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show of information tonight. Carter Buschardt, you may know him from all his Sasquatch shows that he's done on here, but tonight we're talking aliens. Then in hour number 3, Steve Stockton is here for another spooky story. Robin Haynes has the cryptid report. It's Dave 101 night and weird news of the week. Let's fire this up, shall we? Carter Buschardt has been researching Sasquatch for well over a decade. He has led expeditions into the deep forests of America. He has seen them, heard them, and seen incredible physical evidence of their actual existence. Carter has also interviewed over 200 witnesses and counting who have come across the strange creature. But now, there's something else he's been hiding. It's a story he has written that defies all logic and believability. Yes, when you come to terms with the fact that you're an alien contactee, it sends you on quite the road trip. And this is where Carter Buschardt finds himself now. Carter Buschardt, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
I'm coming in smooth, not rough. I like that analogy. We're coming in smooth and clean, not that rough, chunky stuff.
No.
That's how I roll.
That's the way you want it, man.
That's the way I roll.
Merry Christmas to you and your beautiful wife. And and our audience, like I said in the intro, they know you from being one of our best Bigfoot guests on this show. I mean, you have a trio of incredible books regarding Sasquatch, and now you're taking a different turn.
Yeah, I was reluctant, not, knowing the haters and trolls in the cryptid world, book sales a little slow. So now you've been abducted by aliens. No, it's not that way. This is a childhood thing that I had no idea about until I accidentally found out in 2004. So, and this stuff happened to me. I'm 72 now. So I didn't know until I was 53 in the year 2004 that I'd been abducted. I had no idea. I had a story I always told as a child. I had no idea that it had anything to do with being abducted. Just clueless as hell, you know. And
Well, let's leave it there for right now because we got a lot of show to talk about this.
yeah,
You were so focused on Sasquatch, but you were also somebody who was continually and to this day fighting organizations like the BFRO for real truth and transparency
yeah,
on Sasquatch. Okay, you were the one who really broke the story that none of the statistics that the BFRO uses are actually accurate because they are editing their own stories, not using stories that include anything paranormal, supernatural, or ufological.
yeah.
And I think that was a big step for you. Number one, to put your name on the line for that. But number two, were you always somebody who believed in the extraterrestrial phenomena?
Yeah, I always, I've told this as part of this childhood story, but since the age of 10 or so, when I first saw In Search of It, Leonard Nimoy in the showing the Patty film, I just had a hint, a shoulder tap that, there's more to the world than they're telling you. Sasquatch, UFO, all of that. I just knew, a 10-year-old kid, I just kind of had this feeling, and I knew, and I was transfixed with this map I had in my bedroom wall as a child of the cosmos, our 9 planets, the map of our solar system. I would just stare at that thing forever and ever and ever because that was just fascinating. I said, well, where's the stars? There's no stars on here. It's just the planets on this map. You could send off a couple of box tops of cereal, Kellogg cereal, and they would send you this map that was about 4 by 6, folded up, and you hang it on your wall. But it didn't have any stars. So I was always questioning how come this wasn't here. This, I had a feeling, and I didn't know why I had that feeling, until I found out later, So yeah, I've always been transfixed with the UFO, paranormal, Sasquatch, cryptid, anything they say does not exist, I believe they do. So I always did. I didn't know until now why.
Right. No, and I get that. I mean, what was your opinion before you started researching your own experience? What was your opinion of people who had alien encounters or UFO experiences?
I believed that to be true because as I was writing my books on Sasquatch, the people would start telling me about their esoteric quantum type events with, the Sasquatch mind speak, telepathy, stuff that I've experienced myself. But they would also start telling me when they felt comfortable, they start telling me about alien abductions, seeing Sasquatch on a spaceship. And they felt comfortable telling me this, and at first I'm going, oh my God, what's going on here? And then it just kept coming, And so I've got several women who are of the RH blood type, and they have had children that remember past lives when they're 6 or 7. And there's several stories like this. They would tell of knowledge of being like a fighter pilot in Vietnam or World War I or II, and describe life on another planet or in another area on our planet, And so I've run into 2 women, possibly a third, with this RH blood, and their children have all had memories of living on other planets or another life on this planet, and they're reincarnated, but they're coming back, and they've all had UFO experiences and paranormal Sasquatch experiences. It's just it just got really bizarre. I'm going, where's this coming from? That's when I got into uh, doing more of the paranormal stuff, with the Sasquatch, and these people are calling me out of the woodwork. At least once a week, I get a call or an email from somebody who wants to talk because nobody will talk to them, or if they do, they make fun of them. And now, uh, since I divulged to a couple of friends what happened to me, these people are calling me back or emailing me. I've known since I was, mostly they were women who were impregnated or thought they had been impregnated by ETs. And they thought these were bizarre dreams, but it's just like the Sasquatch thing. They're all describing the similar abduction type things. They're taken out of their window, they're floated up to a craft, off they go, they do their thing. Same thing had happened to me apparently, and then they are delivered back. And I've promised anonymity, of course I would, but several female researchers have said, I think I may have had what you just described happen to me. And they go into great detail, with implants, pregnancies, just bizarre things going on. And they have no reason to think that's anything but a dream until I suggest, which I did. I got hypnotically regressed by accident the first time. And that's how I found out that this had happened to me. And so I've been under 7 times because I couldn't believe this stuff. I said, this didn't happen to me. No, come on. That's not what I remember. But under hypnosis, have you ever been regressed, Dave? You ever been?
Yeah. 2021 was the first time I had it happen.
Yeah. And, I learned a lot. Your subconscious, Dave and Carter, we remember everything that ever happened to us. Not in our conscious life, like you're right now, like you and I are talking, we don't remember everything that ever happened to us. We don't know some of the things that happened to us. But when you're under and you're talking to your subconscious, your ethereal self, it knows everything. And why didn't you tell me this in my waking state? Why are you waiting for me to get creeped out and kidnapped and abducted? Why are you waiting? I get a lot of sarcastic answers back from that because I'm kind of a smart ass guy, and you are too, but when I'm under, I get stories that I have no way of how would I not know that? But I don't in my waking state. And that's the whole crux of this, the screen memories they give you. If anyone's familiar with abduction, screen memory is something they put in your head to make you forget what happened by, slowly getting you away from, if you saw a gray, well, in your memory, your waking memory, you're seeing a deer or an owl, something with big eyes.
Yes.
So you suddenly are diverted away from remembering that. And it works because, they can jack with your head. They can do I found out they can do some incredible things with your memory and your psyche and your consciousness. It's really fascinating, now that I'm over it, and excuse me while we're talking, I get, a little emotional because sometimes this stuff just hits me. I'm starting to relive it, and it doesn't bother me, but it's shocking. It's really, it's just, it's mind blowing. How I found out and all the things and how many times I may have been taken. I'm still trying to figure that one out, but
you'll never know.
Yeah. Well, I might. I have blocks. I have mental blocks,
Yes.
From the way my father treated me as a child and the screen memories of the ETs. Between those two things, I had a lot of blocks to get through, but that's why I went under 7 times. I have all the cassette tapes. It's going back to 2004. And it all fits like a shoe now that I've started looking into it. And, I wasn't even going to write a book on this stuff. What I did when I started this book, what it was I was just going to print up a batch for family. And once I was dead, people could look at it and read it and go, "Oh my God. Oh, wow. That explains why he's so freaking weird," but, because I was really afraid to bring this up because I'm an author of Sasquatch books, and the trolls and haters in that field, as you know, I just figured they'd be picking my bones, but people are not, or most people don't even know about it. This is my first time talking about it publicly, and so we'll see what happens now.
Right.
I may have to break up with you, Dave, if I get trashed after doing your show. We'll
Why
have to.
why did you decide that it was time to speak out about your own alien encounters?
Well, when I found out, and I was regressed. Let me do that. I was regressed in 2004, and that was by accident. I have to tell you that story. It's a fantastic story. It was by accident, but it's just like the Sasquatch thing. This kind of stuff is happening to people all over, and they're not talking about it for the same thing as stigmatization of, "Oh, you believe in aliens? You've been to Mars? You've been up in a spaceship and you had an alien baby?" Oh, so no one wants to talk about it. Same thing with a Sasquatch event. When you see them and they're displaying their, esoteric and quantum skills are disappearing, they're cloaking, coming in and out of portals, coming, into fruition as a being out of an orb, or disappearing into an orb, and just, you can't tell people that stuff. They look at you like you're nuts. So no one talks about the Sasquatch thing either. And that's why I got into the books, when all these people with their very interesting but pedestrian road sightings. And, I saw a Sasquatch. It was running down the road or across the road while I was driving through the forest. And, that's half of the sightings right there, is just mundane stuff. But then they were experiencing missing time and potential sightings of UFOs right before or right after a Sasquatch sighting or event. And so it all is kind of coalesced into one big mush. I mean, it's all tied together somehow, but nobody wants to talk about this. So that's when I decided to say something, because I once I found out that this stuff was real, I just couldn't sit on it. Because there's people that are having these experiences just like Sasquatch events, and they're afraid to talk about it for stigmatization and fear of ridicule and scorn, which happens. So that's why I decided to come out with it, because it comes 73, I'm not going to be around much longer. So if you want to make fun of me, I'll probably be dead, so I won't care. I'll be flipping you off from the ethos wherever I'm at, up there or down there. I don't know where I'm going.
What'd your wife say, your family say, when you started talking about this?
Well, I haven't mentioned I'm not real tight with my brothers. They're skeptical of virtually everything, and they just wouldn't understand. But my wife, she was there when I found out by accident. You want me to tell you that story?
We got 5 minutes. Let's learn this story of how you found out by accident.
Okay. Myself and my wife and another couple, friends of ours. The wife, was the widower of my former comedy partner, and then she married this guy named Steve. Nice guy. We decided we wanted to go see if we had past lives. That was it. We're sitting around talking one night, having drinks. I'd like to know if I had a past life. I always felt like I was a woman in a previous life. So everybody thought they had past lives, couldn't put their fingers on it. Well, let's do some hypnotic regression. And so, long story short, I found a regressionist very close to our house here in Liberty, Missouri, about 25, 30 miles away. And we all went and got regressed. That's the very short version. And one by one, my wife went under. She couldn't be hypnotized. She has control issues. It happens a lot in hypnosis. Some people just can't go under. Steve went under. He had a past life. His wife Nancy went under. She had 2 past lives. Then they took me under. And it took a while to get me there. And so when I got under, I started talking like a 9-year-old boy and sobbing hysterically. And I told this incredible story of a childhood event that I remembered completely differently than what actually happened. It's a story I told my entire life, not knowing. And after the commercial, I'll tell you, but it all coalesces. It was just really bizarre. So that's how I find out. My wife, they're all watching me, and I'm sobbing. And they're all going, "What the hell?" The hypnotist. This was one of her first 2 or 3 hypnosis sessions ever. She was brand new, and she was floored. She couldn't handle. I mean, everybody was like, "What? What do we want? What's going on? What's this alien? What?" It was crazy. I mean, they were all, and so I was under. I had no idea. I wake up, she brings me out of it, and everyone's just staring at me, and I suddenly realized I got tears running down my face. I'm going, what is this? And I was 53 years old, so that was 20 years ago when I found out, and I was so freaked or spooked. I really do not know why, but I did nothing about it until this year. I had these tapes. I went under with Dolores Cannon. You know who she is.
Yes.
I went under with her twice. And then all of the other regressionists were her students. And so I said, well, screw this. I'm going to go to the master because, I need to find out if this is legit. And, sure enough, it was. So I went under with her twice, and the other a total of 7 times, 7 sessions. 5 sessions, 7 tapes. Let's do it that way. And the story is mind-boggling. Someone listening to this right now is thinking the same thing. I think something happened to me when I was a child. That's weird. If someone's gonna tell you on the chat or something, that sounds like me. I mean, it happens invariably. Same thing with Sasquatch.
We get it all the time, my man.
Yeah.
Get it all the time. We got about 90 seconds to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Carter Buschardt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. As you were dealing with the emotions of what had happened, I mean, how were you, did you know what was going on? I know you were under, but there's still a little bit of consciousness taking place there.
The first time, no, I had no idea because it's my first time. When I was doing comedy, we used to work with hypnotists who would get like 10 people up on stage, and you mass hypnotize them all, and some of them, you go be a chicken, and go over there and hump the chair, or make everybody do stupid stuff. So I had been around hypnosis, but other than that, I didn't really know how it worked. So the first time I went under, I had no idea. And the second and third and fourth time, I knew that I was talking to my subconscious, or the hypnotist was talking to the ETs through my subconscious. So yeah, in later sessions, I realized how to be in 2 places at the same time, be off where I'm at and still be here, cognizant of what's going on. And at that, I kept going, am I really saying this stuff? What is this coming out of my mouth? Is this real? Am I making this shit up? I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Right. Carter Buschardt on Spaced Out Radio. His alien experience. We're going to learn all about it when we return on the Mighty SOR. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues with me, Dave Scott, right after this. Remember, no swearing.
Yeah. I said poop. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the old shit there.
Yeah.
Damn you.
You can be in YouTube jail.
No, radio jail. I got to cut that out.
Oh, sorry. I rarely cuss. I think I just forgot.
Yeah. Let's see here. Don't you love feeling strange?
Yeah, I'm reading some of these people's comments here. Contact is different for everyone, depends on who you are or were. Some are forbidden to make contact entirely or speak of it. And this one guy here says, motherfucker, no swearing. Yeah, but several people are already mentioning that.
Yeah.
Had a hypnotist at the Air Force. He was a member and used to past life regress people.
Hi, Phase Will and Free Your Mind. And Chris. Teen, good to see you. Aaron Baca, how you doing? And Joanne and Witchy, good to see you guys. Thank you for joining us.
Hypnotism is like guided meditation. I don't think it's real. They can make you think all these things, so I don't think people are lying when they tell anything. I'm thinking that is what they made you see. You got a fairly educated audience.
Very smart.
Yeah.
CS, how you doing? 5W-12AX7. What's happening?
Yeah, interesting opinions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Them's people are smart.
Huh. Yeah.
About 2 minutes.
All right.
2 minutes. Izo Cheeto Paez Richards. Derek Galloway. How cold is it in Florida, Derek? Did you drop below 70 or what?
I always call it the uncomfortable relationship between Bigfoot and UFOs. That is what got me to thinking that all these paranormal phenomena are connected to begin with. I've never seen a cryptid, but heard hundreds of stories from sincere tellers. They cannot all be lying.
Echo Whispers, thanks for joining us again. 48 degrees. That's t-shirt weather. God, I would love some 48 degrees right now.
I've got a nickname here, Farter Buschardt.
Yeah, that's Sovereign Farts. He loves ripping ass in public.
Yeah.
One of those guys. You know, if you're in a subway, he's cutting it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bear with me, Carter. Thank you to Rat Sass,
Gotcha.
T-Bone, and FaZe Will for the super chats. Very much appreciate earning your respect and love. Don't forget to shop at spacedoutradio.com. We got great swag, people. No ugly swag. Okay, we got stuff you'd actually wear in public, and that's why we put it on up. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com and make it happen. All right, Carter, we got about 10 seconds before we're going to launch here.
All right.
Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Here we go again. Carter Buschardt never talked about his alien encounters before until tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Carter, we're very glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate you having me, Dave.
All right. Once again, I want to ask you, my friend, the difficulty in going through that hypnotherapy, the regression therapy that you did, and realizing that this was something that had happened to you. I mean, how long did it take for you to actually come to terms with it?
Close to 20 years. Because I went under that first regression, 2004, and then I went under with that woman the next day. I went back. I said, okay, let's get to the bottom of this, because this can't be. And I went under with her, and then I went under with 2 more women before I went to Dolores Cannon. But all of those tapes sat in my office here in a closet for 20 years, 2004 to this year. And I kept staring at them and going, I'll listen to them tomorrow, next week, next month. Oh, I've got an expedition, it'd be 3 months. I kept putting it off, and I'd see them every day in my closet, and I would just not do anything with it. And each regression has told me, you need to go listen to your tapes over and over, and you'll get new things every time. You just need to keep listening to them, because you'll remember and take notes. I didn't do any of that because I'm not sure I believed it, or if I could, or I'm not sure what I believed. I don't even know now. I go chasing Sasquatch through the woods. I'm not a scaredy cat. I'm not afraid of anything. But apparently I was afraid of this, and maybe that was the ETs keeping me from delving into it, because they didn't want me to talk about it. All the regressions, they would mention, we don't want you to talk. But they kept telling me also, you remember stuff you're not supposed to remember. So they had to come clean with me, because I was remembering things. They kept saying, you weren't supposed to remember that. How do you remember that? And so it took me 20 years. But this last year, in June here in Kansas City, I did a conference with Fire in the Sky.
Travis Walton.
Travis. His booth was right next to mine, and we got to talking. And I hadn't told anybody about this. And he said, get off your butt and tell somebody. Go find out what's going on. You need to tell the world, like I told the world, because you're going to help people, and you may help yourself. And so then I met 2 other psychics from Canada, there, and they give me motivation as well. So what are you waiting for? What, I mean, just, what are you afraid of? That kind of thing, and, he sent me his book and CDs of his show. And each time he wrote a note, tell your story. You got to tell it. You can't sit on this kind of stuff. They're here. They are here. You need to do something. You need to say something. And that's what got me off my butt, I think, because, I had all the evidence that it was real in my closet, and maybe that's where I wanted it to stay. I don't know. I mean, sometimes when I talk about this, depending on how far I go down the rabbit hole, I get all teary eyed again, because it kind of hits you, like when I made contact with the Sasquatch clan, and I've been communicating with them for several years. That gets me emotional. So this is real stuff. No matter what anybody thinks, it's real stuff. It happens to people. It happens. Someone listening to this right now has had something like this happen to them. They're just not talking about it. Same thing with Sasquatch. People are seeing them. They're seeing them disappear. They're hearing them speak to them, sending them telepathy, affecting, coming in and out of portals. They're not going to talk about that stuff. That's too crazy. It's the same thing with the UFOs. No one's going to talk about that, until you just come to a bursting point where you have to, And so this happened when I was 7 or 8, and it may have continued to as recently as 2021. But that's why I finally just did something about it, and I started listening to it. And when August of this year, I went to my last regression, and she was also a third tier hypnotic regressionist with Dolores Cannon. And when I listened to everything, I started bawling here in my office. I started bawling. I ran into my wife, fell into her arms. I'm going, oh my God, this really happened, And I was bawling like I was on that first regression, like a little baby, I was just, I was losing my mind. It was just like, it finally hit me in August of this year that this was a real thing. And, my whole memory of my childhood is completely different than what I consciously remember.
Okay, speaking of that consciously remembering, then, what do you recall? Let's go back to your childhood.
Okay. You want me to tell you how this started?
Yes.
Okay. I'll keep it brief. I had a friend named Craig. I won't use the last name. He lived in my neighborhood, and we did a lot of things together. We, hunted, fished, do all this other kind of stuff. And so we got new bikes, and we were racing our bikes in front of my house in Dallas, Texas. That's where I'm from. And we ran a stop sign. We were just having fun. It was a hot summer day, and we were just, 7, 8 or 9, somewhere in there. And we ran a stop sign, and this car went by, and you could feel the wind. It should have hit us, and it didn't. And so I told that story in my memory. And the reason I would always tell that story, when you're with, friends and family and stuff, you talking about stupid things you did as a kid that could have killed you, but it didn't, I don't know if you got into those.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. So the story I told was, well, me and my buddy Craig were racing our bikes, and this car almost hit us, and I can't believe it. I shouldn't even be here. We could feel the wind. It was a blue car. Well, when I got regressed, I realized that car was not a car. It was the UFO. It was a blue, and my screen memory was of a blue 1951 Buick Roadmaster. Same car my grandparents had in Houston, Texas. So they put a screen memory in my head to obfuscate what really happened. It wasn't a UFO, it was a car that almost hit us. Well, now we're inside a spacecraft. That car took us in once I was hypnotized. We were inside the craft, and all kinds of weird stuff happened. So, but I remember, consciously remembered not only that, but as a car, not a UFO. I remember seeing little gray creatures walking down the hall in my home in Dallas, Texas. I could see them walking down the hall, and it looked like they were on a conveyor, and little gray beings. I didn't have any concept of aliens or ETs or anything at that. And I was 7 or 8, 8 or 9. I was on top of my bunk bed watching them. Oh, that's kind of weird. And I could see, it looked like they were going downhill because the hall light was shining from my parents into the house, and made them look a little bit longer than they were, and taller, and going down. And so that was one memory I had. And I just always thought, well, that was weird. I wonder why I would have a dream like that. And there were little gray things, but I didn't put it together because I had no frame of reference, And then in my bedroom, I always remembered this, and this never happened, was Aunt Jemima was sitting in a rocking chair in my bedroom that I share with my brother. I'm on the top bunk, he's on the lower bunk. Well, we didn't have a rocking chair in my bedroom. And Aunt Jemima didn't have a do-rag. She had glasses. She was a white woman with gray hair. And that was a screen memory because the ETs did not want me to remember the one ET that I saw that night, the one that came in to take me. And the grays were there to help. They were the little worker bees. So I kept thinking up until I was 53, 54, that was Aunt Jemima. I always had this weird dream about Aunt Jemima in my bedroom. That was just odd. Wonder why that screen memory. Well, that rocking chair was also in my grandparents' house in Houston, Texas. We didn't have room for a rocking chair. There was no rocking chair in our bedroom. That was a screen memory. And I thought, it was supposed to be Aunt Jemima, but it was really my grandmother.
Right.
Because it was a white woman. It looked like it was a negative of a white person, is what it was. That she was kind of glowing, it was black and white, and she was glowing, but she had glasses. Aunt Jemima didn't wear glasses. She did not have a do-rag. She had her gray hair up in a bun, like my grandmother wore it. So I was given a screen memory. So if I was ever to recall that, I'd go, oh, that was Meemaw. What was Meemaw doing there? That was weird. No, it was Aunt Jemima. I didn't, it was Aunt Jemima. And so little subtle things like that. I had a serious nosebleed when I was about 12, 13 in front of my house. I remember it vividly. I don't know why I would recall it. I just always remember this horrific nosebleed running down my plaid shirt. Well, that was an implant that failed, and they made my body reject it, and then they put another one in. But I remembered the nosebleed, but I did not connect it until I had been taken under. And I'm going, what? How does this happen? So they put an implant in me twice. They took me to the rings of Saturn. All these little things, and because I had this map of the universe, our solar system, on my bed, and there was a map with, of course, Saturn and the rings. But I remembered, for odd reasons, until I was regressed, I didn't know why, I could see the dust and the debris, chunks of just garbage and trash in the rings, and that's what's in them. But I remember sitting there looking at them, going, I don't want to be here. I want to go back to my bed. Or I want to go back home. I remember that, but I just thought it was one of those weird dreams until I realized it's not a dream. It's a screen memory, and some of these things did happen. I was taken to Machu Picchu. It was crazy. And so, but I started remembering, and then I'm realizing, and the things they're telling me that happened, it just blew my mind. I was isolated in an embryo or a cocoon on board their craft. And I was starting to freak out because I couldn't get out and I couldn't move. And they were isolating me and my buddy, Craig, to see if to make sure that our germs did not affect their biology. That's their words. They would say, we didn't want your germs to affect our biology. We wanted to make sure our biologies were compatible before we attempted a meshing or melding. Those are the other words they used, which was hybridization, blending myself and alien DNA to do whatever, make hybrid beings.
And once again, how old were you at this time?
When I was taken the first time, I was 7 or 8.
That's
in the book,
when
I think I would say in between 7 or 9, and see that cute little fellow? Look, I was a little Cub Scout. That's how old I was. 7 or 8. I was a Cub Scout. Look at that cute little kid. They almost traumatized me for the rest of my life. Look at that kid. I just want to kiss him. But that's when it started. And that's why I had this attraction in, I'll call it knowledge or a knowing that there was other things going on in the world and the universe. No matter what they told us, there was other things going on, and I wanted a piece of that, and I was attracted to it. And now I know why, and the attraction to Sasquatch was also brought up in the hypnosis, the regression, the last one, that, we knew you would go towards something like that. They mentioned that, well, we knew you would go somewhere. We just didn't know where, with, some kind of research into the unknown. And that was one of the reasons. I still had no reason why I was attracted to that. I just was, because it was in here, and it would unlock itself every now and then,
Right.
And so, but that's how I came to all of this, and I had a lot of mental blocks, because number one, not to speak ill of the dead, but my dad was mean and hateful to me my entire life. He like I was I don't know. He was just mean and cruel to me. And so I was very insecure, and I kept to myself because I was, I cowered in fear when he would come home at night, as we all did, not just myself, but I got the brunt of it because I was different. My brothers were A and B students. I was a D student, or F student, or D minus. And I just got grief from him left and right. It was horrifying. So I had mental blocks from abusive treatment from my father. And then I had the screen memories from the ETs that were keeping me from remembering things. So I had two things working against me, which worked in the aliens' favor because I couldn't recall anything, because I was just emotionally, I was a wreck, as a kid, And so when I got over that at a certain age, and I ended up running away from home and was playing in bands just to get away from home because I wasn't getting any love or respect at the house. Boo-hoo, not poor pitiful me, but that's just the way the life was at the home. My dad drank a lot daily, and it was a nightmare. When he came home, we all ran like cockroaches to hide, because it's like, oh God, here we go again. 3-4 martinis, and here we go. So that was, I hid from things. And when I finally got out and started getting confidence in myself, that's from becoming a drummer. I was a musician, and I was getting respect and love from people outside my family, because I wasn't getting it inside my family other than my mom. It was a nightmare existence, but I got confidence in myself when I started realizing that I can play music. I'm pretty good and I can make a living at this. And I started feeling better about myself, and got my confidence as a human back. And that probably, I got rid of some of those mental blocks with him. But the screen memories they had in my head obfuscated everything that was going on. But I kept remembering things, and they would tell me when I was under, you weren't supposed to remember that. How do you remember that?
Wow.
Or they would say, well, you won't remember, but you won't forget. They, Freudian statements like that, they would say that just to kind of, throw you off a little bit, and well, your assessment is possibly correct without saying yes. You know what I mean? It was very political type jargon. They would always say yes, but very indirectly. So they would not come out and say, yes, you remember this. Yes, this happened. So it was a baptism by fire. It was just bizarre. It did not occur to me that this could actually be happening to me. And I realized that I'm one of many, just like the Sasquatch thing,
We've gone about 2.5 minutes before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour. Carter Buschardt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Carter, you don't seem bothered by the regression, what you learned about yourself. How long did it take you to get to that stability?
I'd probably say since about 2010, 2015, after I'd had my last regression with Dolores Cannon, I started going, this is real. I mean, she's the master, and she was confirming everything and pulling stuff out the others couldn't, and it finally started going, but I still didn't do anything. Like, hey, you're the first person I've talked to about this publicly. So it just sat in my closet, but I had the power of the knowledge of it, and I could handle it and quit running from it was my thing. I assume by putting it up there, just outside of hand's reach, where I could reach to the closet and put it on a cassette. I didn't. I couldn't do it. So, but I realized I had the strength and all the evidence is sitting right here in the box in my closet. And finally, I started listening to the tapes when I talked to Travis Walton, and it all just came flooding out,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you feel different as a person?
Yeah, I do. I feel empowered, somehow. Because it's not controlling me. I'm controlling it. I have the knowledge. I'm controlling the knowledge. I'm sharing the knowledge. I'm not letting the knowledge control me and frighten me. And, I'm sure deep down, I didn't want to deal with it. I psychologically maybe couldn't until I did. I went, I can do anything. What the heck? What am I doing? What am I afraid of? I know what I was afraid of, but like I said, I run chasing after Sasquatch in the deep woods. I'm putting myself in harm's way, if you want to call it that, all the time. And that's nothing. I'm still here. In the ET thing, I'm still here. They're keeping some things from me. I know, but if I go under, these regressions get expensive, by the way. They're $300 to $500 a pop. It's not chump change. I got to play a lot of poker to do that. But it works, and it empowers you once you've done it.
Carter Buschardt is here with us talking about his alien experience. He's got a brand new book out about it. What's it like admitting to yourself you're an ET abductee and contactee? We will be right back on Spaced Out Radio right after this. All right, do you want to take a break or do you want to continue?
I'm good. I'm fine.
All right, I'm going to take a quick break. I'll leave you right here because I know you like chatting with the audience.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Let's see if there's anybody. I see some people on here have had the same hint that maybe something had happened. So, yeah, go seek it out. Find out what was. If you think something like this has happened to you, you should go check it out. Digger Dog, Dave, he is not alone with that type of experiences. Nope, you are correct, sir. Like this Missouri man, disclosures will occur at an exponential rate as times change. Those pure at heart are no longer fearing the truth. That is correct, sir. That's what I just got through saying, pretty much. Operation shutdown. You didn't get enough cereal box tops. Well, back then when you could do that, it only took 2, but you had to buy 2 boxes of cereal. Jay Burke, I always call it the uncomfortable relationship between Bigfoot and UFOs. That is what got me to thinking all these paranormal phenomena are connected to begin with. Quite possibly, sir. Yeah. The more I talk to my Sasquatch habituation witnesses, especially, where they're living with these beings, daily, weekly, yearly, monthly, for decades, they also experience paranormal things. Algo Ray, I've never been regressed. It's an interesting thing to be regressed. You find out a lot of things about life and your deep-seated emotions and beliefs. To Mothman, if I've ever been taken, they did a really good job of making me forget. They can do that.
All right. Thank you, T-Bone.
Interesting comments.
Very interesting.
Yep.
I want to say a big thank you to T-Bone ×2, Ratsass, and FaZe Will for the super chats. I do have questions lined up for our good friend, Carter Buschardt. Who else has jumped in here? Let's see here. Night 13302 over on Twitch. Welcome to SOR chat. Did our troll come back? Or is he done for the night? See, that's what happens when you go up into Grandpa's medicine cabinet and start drinking the high karate. You end up like that guy.
12% alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Hey!
Here we go, Carter.
All right.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Tefrail. Tefrail is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon, join the SOR Space Travelers Club. Here we go, hour number 2, learning that he's an alien abductee and contactee. Carter Buschardt, author, researcher, is here. You know him better as one of our Sasquatch experts around here. But we're not talking Sasquatch tonight. It's all about them damn aliens. Carter, welcome back.
Yeah. No cussing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's all about the aliens.
That's what the edit button's for. So here's you have a question, go ahead.
No.
Here's an oddity which makes this even more intriguing. Now, if I was an alien or wanting to do some kind of control experiments, the kid I was taken with has the exact same birthday as I, September 16th, 1951. Another kid who I used to really hunt and fish with, we were in Boy Scouts together. He lived very close to my neighborhood. We were known as the Nature Boys. Gordon. His birthday is exactly.
Oh, Carter froze.
Exactly the same.
We're just going to wait for Carter's internet signal to catch up with us here, so that way we can get him on. There you are.
I'm here.
You froze up a little bit there, buddy. Your birthdays were the same?
Yeah, all three of us, September 16th, 1951. I had not heard from Gordon in probably 25 years. He contacted me via email as I was putting this book together to tell me that a high school friend of ours had passed away. And that was it, just an email, real short thing. But he was a dead ringer. He and Craig could be the same person. All three of us have the same birthdays. I tried to find Craig, and I found about a dozen of them with his name. I won't go into the last name. I finally found the one I thought it was, and I called this guy, and we talked for about 15, 20 minutes. I told him who I was, why I was calling. I said, you and I went to school together. He said, no, I don't know you. I never heard of you. I said, well, I described a lot of things, and, we burned down accidentally his parents' garage with fireworks. He says, I don't remember that. And when we talked about hypnosis, well, I did get hypnotized once. I'm not sure I believe in hypnosis. I'm not sure I believe in the science or the art or whatever you call it. But he didn't go, hey, dude, you're nuts. You're calling me thinking I was abducted with you by aliens when we were 10 years old? Wouldn't you just hang up on somebody like that or say, are you okay? What's this really about? I mean, he didn't question the conversation we were having, but at the same time, he denied being that person. He lived 20 miles away from me, and he'd been hypnotized, but he denied being that Craig. It was, and I know deep down that's him. I know it. I know that's him, and he's just denying it. Yeah. What are the odds of us having the same exact birthday, and he'd also been hypnotized? He didn't hang up on me and say, "Hey, you're nuts. Who are you? What are you calling me for? What do you want? You selling something? What do you want?" He was having the conversation like we talked yesterday. It was just an odd 20 minutes. But if I was going to do an experiment on some humans, boy, if they all had the same birthday, that'd just be perfect. That's a perfect lab rat scenario. So these two guys and me, we all had the same birthday. I don't believe in coincidences and Sasquatch research. I don't believe it in this. There was something to that. Can't put my finger on it, but anyway. Yeah, it was just, I can't, and I think I'm missing something in the regression because there's still blocks. There's still things they won't tell me, but I'm on the right track. I know. The aliens, they showed themselves to me. One of them looked like, I don't know if you ever remember the show Outer Limits. David McCullum played this alien with a huge head, and the one that showed itself to me had a very huge head. The brain was like 4 or 5 times. The head up here was 4 or 5 times the size, veins sticking out, and I saw it from the side profile, and it was speaking to me. The face was somewhat like Salvador Dali. It had this kind of weird little smirk to it, comical almost. But this stuff was happening, and they were testing me for breeding, and I've had 2 implants, so there were seriously, and I was taken by accident. When me and Craig got taken, they worked on him. One of my screen memories is seeing me. We used to go hunting and fishing at this place called Castleman's Pond, Joe's Creek, here in Dallas, Texas. And I was shown a memory of me hooking his neck with my fishing line and pulling on the neck. I was casting and I was going, what's that? I caught it in a tree, but I remember the vision of the ETs working on him in the craft behind this screen. I could see the heads, the typical grays type things, but they were obfuscated a little bit because of the screen. I was kept here where they were working on him. But I remember being like right up close to him and seeing the hooks, my fish hook pulling his neck. Well, I couldn't be pulling his neck with my fish hook stuck in his neck if I'm standing right in front of him. That was a screen memory for the procedures they were doing to him, and I was watching them. And I finally actually saw the craft. This craft was on this dam by this pond where we were fishing. And the screen memory initially was this beautiful horse-drawn hearse from like the 1800s, clad in leather and brass, had brass gas lamps. It was a beautiful, ornate thing. It was on this dam, or a dike, as we used to call it. It was between the creek and the pond. And you could walk across it or drive a car across it. And that never happened. I remember it was the craft. And I remember talking to the hypnotist, I don't remember which one. Well, there's a creature or a being or a craft in this tree or above the tree watching this fish. And then it all goes blank. So, I mean, I'm recalling things, and that fish hook thing was just, I've remembered that all my life. I just now flashed on that. I remembered that, but that never happened. I never hooked him. Never. I remember the face. He was screaming and yelling and crying. He was just going nuts. I was tearing at his flesh, but that didn't happen. That was a screen memory, but how could I be looking right at him, like 2 feet away, and at the same time I'm pulling on his neck with a fish hook? I would never be that stupid anyway. I always was very careful, but that never happened. That was a screen memory for what they were doing to him, and the things that, the conversations I was having with myself, or the ETs, and the regressionist, Dolores Cannon. I don't know if you've seen some of her shows and stuff, her tapes, but she had a lot of conversations with the ETs, and I've just now started getting feeds from her old stuff. She died in 2014. She's been gone a while. And so I'm starting to get feeds from her shows, Gee, I Wonder Why, on Facebook, the reels and stuff like that. And she's having conversations with the ETs. Well, she was having conversations with the ETs, and they were saying the same things to me and her as she was having on these other regression tapes with other people. It just was mind-boggling. It was just like, they were talking to them, and she was asking, well, why can't Carter know? Well, Carter's very popular. He's very outgoing, and he will people will listen to him. So we don't want him talking. We don't want him remembering anything. But unfortunately, he does remember some things he wasn't supposed to remember. And that was their conundrum. So they would have to admit to me in the roundabout ways I was talking about that, yes, you did remember that, but they wouldn't say that. They would say, well, you weren't supposed to remember, or, well, according to your assessments, you were probably correct, without saying it. So they would just, a lot of sarcastic innuendo about, yes, this happened, without saying it. So, now I know it happened. If I think it happened, it did happen, because you can't just remember that out of nowhere unless they put a false screen memory in. And so you remember being abducted, but you weren't supposed to remember that. So no, this stuff really happened. It just, they obfuscate your memory with these false memories. And that takes a little while to navigate that stuff. I'm finding out, about once a week, I'll just be sitting here. I'll go, oh, I got to write that down, because it happened. The cocoon and embryo thing was bizarre. I remembered being in that. And here's the thing. Every regressionist, Dolores, 1, 2, 3, 4 women, all have virtually the same results, give or take. And so there's continuity there. So are they all crazy? No. I mean, this stuff happened,
I want to ask you a couple of questions here, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You saw them. Who were they? What did they look like?
The ETs?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the one I was telling you about was looked like this alien in the Outer Limits. If you look up the Outer Limits and look up David McCullum, who was the man from Uncle, he was in that show, the blonde guy. He was in several other shows. He just passed away. It looked like the character he played, but it was a gray up until it got to about here. Then the brain just went like this. It was a huge head.
Right.
And veins were sticking out. Now there was the grays, the typical grays, the ones that came into my bedroom and took me. The dream I always had that I thought was a dream wasn't a dream. I saw the grays and they were little bitty. I mean, they were little bitty, like 3 or 4 feet tall. I mean, like typical grays that you hear about.
Right.
And I've come to understand that, you know, many of these are robotic or hybrids. They're really just drones. They're little worker bees. They just do, you know, they're a clone of the grays, the actual grays, which are anywhere from 4 to 6 to 8 feet tall, depending on who you talk to and the experience. There are some grays that are reported to be really, really tall, you know, tall as the Sasquatch are. So those are the two I remember, was the grays and the creature from the Outer Limits. And he had this really funny smirk on him. And he would look at me and just go, well, your assessment could be correct.
Okay. So a lot of people don't enter straight into the hybridization program, from what I've learned. You know,
Yeah.
it takes a few times that you've been taken before all of a sudden they start using you in your male reproductive organs in order to start creating other life species, shall we say.
Yeah.
You know, do you know how many hybrid children you have? Have they ever told you?
No, and that's one thing I was, you know, why I might go under one more time just to find out. And I never, they never told me I was accepted or rejected. I was just isolated in this embryo cocoon type thing where I was standing up, but it was the screen was right here on my nose. I could barely move, you know, but I got enough arm room where I started like clawing my way out of it because I was freaking out. You know, it's kind of a claustrophobic thing, and I was like, I got to get out of here. So when I started doing that, that's when they cut it open with a laser like thing, like a little laser pointer. They cut it open with a laser, and I got out. But they called it meshing or melding. They were seeing if I was compatible. They also told me that I was not the one they were after, because Craig and I were always together. They just took me with him, and they found out I was compatible. So then every time they could find me, they took me, and they came to my house,
Right.
at least twice, my old house in Dallas, Texas. And so I was being groomed for that. That's the one thing that never came out in the regressions was, did I procreate willingly or otherwise? Of course, at the time that I recall, I think all this stopped somewhere after I was about 18 or 19. So I'm not sure at what age you can procreate. You know, I'm not sure when your sperm is a viable option, or do they not even need it because they just need your DNA. I don't think the reproductive act is necessary because they can just take your DNA, do whatever they do, put it in the fancy cocktail in those beakers, and grow the aliens in those tubes, as you see often. You know, many women describe being shown their children. They gestate after about 4 months. So women are pregnant for a couple, 2-3 months. The embryos are taken from them and taken aboard the craft and put in these, you know, vats or beakers, and they become full term. Many women are shown their offspring and are used to seeing it. You hear about that. and they recall being pregnant and suddenly they're not. So they must have miscarried. It just goes away. And so I think they may have a version of a miscarriage, which is probably something they can do to your body just to make you reject all the stuff that's no longer necessary from being pregnant. I'm not a scientist and I don't play one on TV, so I can only speculate. But, I know several women, including one that's in my last book, whose son was recounting a past life that he couldn't possibly have had at the age of 6 or 7 whenever he started talking about this stuff. So I don't know if I was used. I was being groomed for it. I know that. And the reason I think I may have been used is because when I made contact with the Sasquatch clan in Illinois, 2019, the last expedition I led for BFRO, I made contact with a clan, and it's in this book. But when I made contact with that clan, a lot of weird stuff started happening here at the house, including telepathic messages to me as I was asleep, showing me things, Sasquatch were. But one night I woke up and I felt little hands and fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Have I ever told you about this?
No, I just know the feeling of the little hands and fingers.
Yeah. And I was in bed. My wife was in bed. And it was 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure exactly what time. And I felt these little fingers and hands, and they're slowly working their way underneath my legs. And they were lifting me up and starting to pull me off the side of the bed. And my wife gets up to go to the bathroom. Now, I'm looking at her, and I see her walking, and she's going to the bathroom. Are you seeing this? Who's doing this? What's going on here? Do you see this? Do you see what's going on? And she didn't hear me. She just kept walking like I wasn't there, or like she wasn't there. And I was looking through, and it's like I was looking through a dirty windshield. It was kind of dirty around the edge, but I could see very clearly in the center of it. I could see her walking into the bathroom, going to the bathroom, doing her business like we always do, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever. She flushes the toilet and they drop me. Whoever's got me, pulling me off to the side of the bed, dropped me. That scared them. And in the regression in August of this year, she confirmed, the regressionist said, yes, that was an attempt.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm thinking, and this proves nothing, but I think, why are you coming after me? I'm a 72-year-old man. I mean, what do you need with me? What do you want with me? And my wife said, you're just lucid dreaming. That wasn't real. You were just lucid dreaming. People do that all the time. I said, no, it was. I know everyone says, well, if you're lucid dreaming, it seems real. You whatever you think you're dreaming, it's real, but it's not real. It's a lucid dream. You're experiencing it. But in the hypnosis, she confirmed that, yes, they were in our house in 2020 or 21. I think it's more like 21. So why would you come visit me if you didn't need me for something? I mean, what is it about me you need or want?
Probably your handsomeness. You're a handsome guy. So probably the aliens just can't get enough of them good looks, Carter, as I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Carter Buschardt, author, researcher. Normally he's talking Bigfoot on Spaced Out Radio. However, tonight, it's all about him opening up for the first time what is alien abductions. Spaced Out Radio continues with this one right after this. All right.
And some more good comments. One guy said, well, men in their 70s and 80s can still produce viable sperm. Well, Well, I've had the snip and clip, so I've been fixed. As far as
I'm
I know,
surprised.
huh?
I'm surprised they're still taking you then.
Yeah, that's the one thing, but it may be something else. There could still be a tracking device. One of the things they mentioned to me when I was under was, well, we have to keep track of the herd, which was when they were discussing the implant. And see, some of the things they tell me
Yeah.
sound remarkably like American lingo. It sounds like I'm talking to a soldier or a human, and not some of the comments and the phrases and the terms they use are just like, boy, if I didn't know any better, I'd think I was talking to a lieutenant colonel or the pilot of a spacecraft who's, an American human piloting captured UFO technology. You go into Bob Lazar and all those kind of things.
Yeah. Hey, when you were under hypnosis, were you told whether or not that you had a handler?
I have the same one with Dolores, was the same one she talked to both times. She told me that.
So you do have a handler.
Apparently,
Yeah.
she told me this was the same guy I talked to, because I went under with her in 2005 and 2010.
Right.
So she
When I
told
went
me,
when I went under, my handler's name was Paul.
was he an alien?
I don't know.
Yeah. Whenever I was allowed to see, they looked like the Greys, or like that one on the Outer Limits, David McCollum. You ought to check that out. But the head was massive. This was normal, like you and I. But all of a sudden, it went whoop. And so, but she told me the one that she talked to both times was the same one. And so, whether he was a handler or not, she never used that term, but I would think you would have, because if you remember something, it's in there and they want to obfuscate it. I never saw, like Travis, if you've read his book or seen his photos, there's some very human looking. I mean, that you would not know they're not human. You would not know they were alien, but they're a beautiful Nordic looking woman and man. Beautiful, perfect bodies, everything. They're handsome and beautiful and all that kind of stuff. And, they didn't look like aliens at all. Same height and weight as us. They were built just like us. But then there was the aliens that he also saw, which were not like us. They were smaller and, hideous looking, depending on the depiction. So that's a good question, but the things that I never got out of it, and that's the only reason I'd cough up the money to do it one more time. I don't need to prove that it happened. The stuff happened. But what I would like to know is if they did take anything of me, if I do have some offspring running around out there, and if I'm dealing with the same one or ones all the time, I would tend to think I was. But I was taken by accident. I was always with Craig, but I don't think they told me I was taken by accident. I don't believe that because our birthdays are the same, as was Gordon. So 3 kids, all the exact same age. What a better lab experiment to have 3 kids, same age, same height, weight, everything, and perform tests. I mean, that's a perfect scenario. If I was going to be doing something for genetics or anything else, I'd want to have kind of the same sample system,
Absolutely. Carter, hold on right there.
Yep.
Big thank you to Gailey and T-Bone ×2, FaZe Will, and Rat Sass for the great super chats tonight. And we'll add in another one by T-Bone for the hat trick. Very much appreciate it. Here we go, guys, with the next half hour. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot and read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, we say hello to Carter Buschardt. He's come a long ways from just writing and talking about Bigfoot. It's now about his personal alien experiences that he's finally coming to grips with. Carter, welcome back.
Yeah, it's been a strange ride. This last 4 or 5 months has been very bizarre. You know, I wish I hadn't sat on this for so long, because I may have found answers that are maybe so deeply buried now I can't find them. You know, I may not even be able to ask the right questions because I sat on it, because I can't explain it any other way than I was just afraid to deal with it. I mean, I hate to even admit that. I'm not afraid of nothing, except the IRS,
Oh, I hear you. I totally hear you. But, at sometimes, do you sit there and wonder, why me? Why was I chosen?
Yeah, I do. And I have talked to a few people who are basket cases from the same thing that happened to me. Some in the very distant past, some recently. They go, I won't even go outside. I don't go outside anymore. I don't leave the house. I said, well, if they want to come get you, they can. So not leaving the house doesn't really accomplish too much. Might probably make you feel secure, but they can, they take people out of their cars while they're driving. Of course, their concept of time and space is different than ours. So yeah, it's been a trip, and I'm finally, I can't believe I've talked about this without getting all teary-eyed a couple of times, because I normally have done it. I've accepted it, as a real thing. I still don't know, why me, why would you come back after me 3 years ago? I mean, what can I possibly offer, but, they keep track of everybody they take. They tell me I'm one of the knowing. And once they get you to a certain degree of knowledge and or preparation, whether it's physical or emotional or mental, you're just part of the group that is going to be summoned and taken to a higher level when the time comes, whenever that is. But, they're preparing humans for the next wave of contact or knowledge of the ET thing, and it's just weird. They tell me those things as the UAPs and all this other stuff is going on now, ETs, aliens, UFOs, flying saucers, they're common knowledge. Government admits it after lying about it for 80 years. Who knows how long it's been going on. So, this is an ongoing program. If you go back to the Eisenhower Truman days, depending on who you talk to, they signed a treaty. Give us your technology. You can come take humans, do whatever you want to with them. Just don't kill them, So if that was the real deal, and Lazar and Elizondo and many, many, many others talk about this, as a done deal. That they've been coming and getting us for decades, maybe even longer, doing whatever they did to me to others. Some far worse, some not so bad. I don't have any terroristic memories of any things they did to me, other than they put another implant in me, and they told me straight out that yours failed because that nosebleed you had was the failure of your implant. And when that thing came out of my nose, I thought it was a blood vessel. It was a booger about a foot long. It just kept coming out. And that was, the implant was in some tissue, and it came out. And then they came and took me out of my bedroom as a kid and put another one in. So, and it's also a tracking device, and it also sends data. And so, that kind of stuff, you have to kind of wrap your head around, but it doesn't shock me, because the Sasquatch investigations I'm doing with a lot of people, with the quantum paranormal things that I've experienced and other witnesses, it's right on par with the ET stuff. It's, if you believe one, you got to believe the other. I mean, you can't just say, well, that can happen there, but it can't happen to me. It can't happen that way. Well, no, it happened to these people, the Sasquatch thing, and whether they're tied together, I don't know. They may be, because I have habituation witnesses that see UFOs right before or right after a Sasquatch event, or they'll see an orb right before or right after a Sasquatch event in a craft, or they'll see a Sasquatch right after a UFO event. So you don't know, I just can't say no to any of it, because, I got to have an open mind. It all sounds like, Star Trek or Orwellian stuff, but it's real stuff, and, the everyday guy listening to this show or others, that can't happen. There's people sitting around right now that have been taken and they have no idea. I didn't have any idea until 2004, when I found out by accident. Had I not got that regression just on a whim, I would have probably never known any of this. And maybe that was supposed to happen. I was supposed to be awakened and see what I did with the knowledge. And that's been a serious wake-up call. I found out by accident. Many people find out because they remember, or they wake up in the middle of something. I had no idea. Their obfuscation of my memory was perfect and complete until I went under on a whim. And here's the thing, on the past life, I was a woman in a past life. My past life came up during these regressions. I was alive during Jack the Ripper, London. I came upon a woman who had been disemboweled. Her guts were flowing all over, and her blood was flowing all over these cobblestone streets in London. And that came out quite by, I was regressed to see if I had a past life. Well, that came out, and then it went away. Then it came back, and it kept coming back and forth. So the past life regression, which started all this, was part of what came out. And I was a woman. Either I was another prostitute. I think that's who a lot of his victims were, or I was a woman who walked up upon this murder, or while it was happening, or after it had happened, because her guts and blood were all over the cobblestone street. I remember that clearly. I remember seeing it. And there was a black street lamp with gas, which is what they used back then in old London. So, the past life thing was all thrown in there with it, because that started all this. And so that's part of in my memory. So that's part of the regression. And that's what I got in the book. I took all these cassette tapes and I digitized them, and then I transcribed them into the book, 366 pages. I paraphrased much of it, get some of the technical jargon out of there, because this could have been a 1,000-page book. Who's going to read a 1,000-page book? So but I just got the facts, ma'am. But I mean, it is, every regressionist hits on everything the first one did. And the funny part is that the first regressionist, the one I went under with 2004, she and I ran into each other at one of the conferences I was doing. I was speaking at a conference, and her booth was next to me on the other side. And we went, "But you remember?" And we laughed about it. And she could not handle what happened. Here's the other thing. I forgot to tell you this. The next day I woke up and I drew a reptilian at my, I drew a reptilian. It was a beautiful drawing. I can't find it. I scanned it and emailed it to her. 2 days later, I hadn't heard from her. I called her up. "Hey, what happened? Did you get my drawing?" "Yeah, I did. You're going to have to find somebody else. I can't handle this. I'm just not prepared for it. I can't handle it. I'm not trained for this." And so we kind of laughed about it, but she was spooked. She was as spooked as I was. She didn't know what to do. She was brand new to the business, and she still doesn't, And so all the regressionist names are fictionalized just to protect, because some of them are still working. Dolores Cannon, I mentioned her name because she's passed and all that, and everybody knows who she is.
You should get a hold of Geraldine Orozco. She's one of them.
I think we communicated, and it would have had to be in online. And everyone tells me you do not want to do this type of regression online.
I wouldn't worry about it with her.
Yeah. Well, did you send me two people's names?
Yes.
I think she was one, and there was another one who's here in Missouri.
Deb Shakti.
Yeah.
Deb is wonderful too. I want to get to some audience questions here because they are adding up here. So let's go to Destiny. Was one of your sessions with Miss Cannon in her books?
I don't know. I have the Convoluted Universe series of books. I have two. I think there's 3 or 4. I have 2 or 3. I don't have all of them, but I don't know. I do not know if it was. It was, I went under with her twice. There was some seriously interesting data and correlations to things that were going on in my life and her life, because she described, I've had this conversation. And this is her talking. I've had this conversation with ETs telling me I wasn't supposed to know certain things, and I remembered certain things. And I want more. We aren't going to give you more. And that's the same thing I was saying. So there's a correlation between what I was told and what she was told. It was like she was talking to an old friend. This ET she was talking to. It was like she'd known this person, spiritually or otherwise. It was quite incredible. I do not know. And that's actually a good question. I may have to, Destiny, I may have to go. I may have to finish reading her books,
I hear you.
Yeah, because I have them. I've started them. I've got bookmarks in all of them. And there they sat since this all happened to me as well. And now I need to start digging into her books again. Good question.
Brown Dwarf would like to know, did you ever have any ET or UFO activity during your investigations?
No, I have several habituation witnesses who have regular UFOs, big ones, 100-yard long or longer, 300 yards, huge craft flying over their house. And they have they have Sasquatch living on their property. They've had them there for a couple of generations, like close to 50 years. They're the second generation of their family living on this farm here in Missouri. And they have orbs and UFO activity fairly regularly. And they believe they're all connected. And I do too, but I have not. I have not.
All right. Let's continue on here, Carter. Have you picked up any patterns or signals as to when you're being taken?
No, other than the last time, which was here in my house, 2020, 21, probably 21. No, and I don't, I don't recall any signals or memories of any of this as a child. I don't remember any more abductions other than what they're telling me they did to me or with me during an abduction. I don't remember. I remember 4 or 5 abductions, but nothing during any Sasquatch activity. I've never had none that I'm aware of. None that I'm aware of.
Right. With your encounters still happening, Gentry would like to know if you have had any encounters with mantis beings.
No insect-like beings at all. Although the grays do have the insect-like head, and the one that I do remember was very triangular, like the praying mantis. But I've never had any interactions with any type of insectoid or anything of that nature.
Anna would like to know, how many lives do you now remember?
One other, as a woman. I remembered that as a kid. I remembered telling my mom, was I a lady in another life? I remember I was asking her, was I a woman? Was I a lady in another life? And she's kind of like, no. But now that came out during the regression, to me, that validates it, because 3 of the women who took me under all brought that out, and they all referenced it, and it was in there. So I do believe I was a woman in a previous life, and it would have been in the Jack the Ripper days, 1800s in London, somewhere in that era. I described my long, beautiful dress. I had a beautiful flowing dress. I had long, beautiful brown hair. And I described myself, I was relishing my beauty. I remember saying that under hypnosis. I was enjoying my beauty in my youth. So I remember that.
That's
and
awesome.
I remember that when I was a kid, and I thought, yes, did I look like you? My mom, and she's a very beautiful woman. So, but anyway, so no, that's the only one I remember, and I may have only had one. I don't know, but nothing else has come out under the other regressions. Nothing else.
If you were to get regressed again, what would you want to know?
I'd want to know how many times I was taken. I want to know how many times, if at all, that I was used in a reproductive process. And like I said, I've had the old snip and clip, about 20 years ago. So I have no longer any value to them. But if you just need my DNA, I'm still quite a viable subject, and I'd want to know where they came from, and those are the things I'd want to know. Now, I did get an answer to one of that, and I said, "Who are you?" And I said, "We are energy. You could not comprehend us. You would not understand if you saw us. You would not. Humans are not designed to comprehend our existence. You're not ready for that."
Right.
Because they say they're pure energy. So they may not even have a body or a human form or anything, But I just remember the one life as a woman.
Well, hopefully you're prettier than you were than you are now.
I was probably hot.
I can see that.
I was probably hot.
I can totally see that.
But I remembered, I had long hair and I was describing my dress. Oh, and one of the other things was I didn't have any feet. When I kept looking at my feet as a woman, I couldn't walk anywhere I was standing, but I couldn't move because I just had stubs. My legs came down like there was no feet. And two of the women picked that out, which I thought was odd. But, that's when I was in Machu Picchu. They'd taken me to a tunnel or a room underneath Machu Picchu, and the floor was all seaweed.
Mm-hmm.
Mushy seaweed, like the kind you see with the little white balls on it, this is long viney things. I was walking on that fine, but I had no feet. That was just a strange remembrance. It may have been just a symbolic thing, and I'm not getting the symbology right now. If it was symbolic, I have no idea what it was symbolizing.
Beautiful. 3 minutes to go here, my man. And I would like to know this. Do you feel you are still being taken? If so, how often?
Well, I think so because of the 2021 event here in the house. I don't know if I mean taken or they're coming to check on me and to check on something. Maybe I'm an experiment. I have no idea. I think they would not say. I asked that many times. They would not say, but they kept saying, your remembrances and your assessments are probably correct. But they wouldn't come out and say yes. And so I think since 2021 was verified in my last regression, I think for some reason they're still keeping track of me. Like I say, I'm a knower now, I'm an experiencer, I'm a knower, I'm part of the knowing, which is part of this large group, multiple millions of people that have been taken and things have been done to. I'm part of that group that's ready to go to the next level, whatever that is. That's all been insinuated without spelling it out. So that's all I can share right there. I think they're still keeping track on me for sure.
They mostly do.
Yeah.
They mostly do. Unless they get bored of you like they have of me.
Well, I hope not. This book I'm self-published. You can't find it anywhere. I sell it out of my house, $21 plus $4 shipping. It's $25. You can, contact me through Facebook, and I'm still squatching. I'm still doing all that. I've still got another Sasquatch book I'm trying to finish. I just can't because this one couple keeps having this stuff going on with them, gifting and interacting with the Sasquatch. And they've seen some craft. They're in Washington State. They've seen some odd things, and they are materializing out of nothingness into an orb that turns into a Sasquatch, or a Sasquatch that turns into an orb and flits out the house through the window or through the wall. So they've got the real paranormal stuff going on, and that is usually associated with UFOs and things, being able to come in and out and materialize, One guy mentioned that he really liked that melding, meshing reference. I thought that was an odd way of describing the unification of a human, and the hybridization is what it is. They never use that word. They use melding and meshing.
I don't know what that's like. Carter, tell everybody where they can find your books.
Okay. Well, you can email me at sqexplorer.com, or you can go to my webpage, sqexplorer.com. The email is sqexplorer@gmail.com. My website is sqexplorer.com. And you can go there and find. I have not put this book on that website because it was strictly designed for Sasquatch stuff. But you can get a hold of me either way, and I can get you the books. I'm self-published. I sell them out of the house. Yep. This book is very thorough with the regression, so it's quite interesting. You should try it.
Carter Buschardt, everybody, coming up next. Steve Stockton from Among the Missing. Kick off hour number 3. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
Enjoyed it.
Here's from Sovereign right there. Fart hard, buddy.
I shall. Little Carter's Farter Starters was my nickname in high school.
Beautiful. Love it. We'll talk soon, okay?
All right, Dave. Take care, man. Thanks a lot for having me.
Bye. Carter Buschardt, everybody. I will be right back. See what I do for you, Sovereign Farts. All right. There's Robin in the background. Her hair looks great. All right. Big thank you tonight to T-Bone with a hat trick, Rat's Ass, FaZe Will, and Gailey for the amazing super chats. Thank you for the love, everybody. Remember, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag. No, nothing ugly in there. Not an ugly thing. Clothes you'll be actually wanting to wear out. Take pictures when you do and send them to us if you don't mind. And of course, make sure you mark May 10th through 12th, 2024 on your calendar. Why? The SOR Space Travelers Party. It's a third annual fan party in Reno, Nevada at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort. VIP tickets are $100, or if you just want regular tickets, they are $60. Come join us for a weekend of fun in Reno. Start saving. I know Christmas is right around the corner, but this is all for you. You're allowed to spend money on yourself. Come have fun with us. Here we go, everybody.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. To frail is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night we say hello to Steve Stockton from the YouTube channel Among the Missing for another creepy story.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Have I got a story to share with you? It's about something that happened in a super old colonial house in Massachusetts. It was in the winter of 2003. There was a chill in the air, and I'm holed up in this ancient house, knee-deep in transcribing manuscripts. Now, this house wasn't just old. It was practically dripping with history. It all started one evening when I was burning the midnight oil in the study. The fireplace was throwing shadows on the wall like it was putting on some kind of show, and that's when I first noticed them. Shadows, not from the fireplace, but shadow figures doing their thing in the kitchen. I know that sounds crazy. These shadows that I saw, they were weirdly human-shaped, but totally featureless. Imagine a shadow, but without the details. It was like they were stuck in limbo between form and no form at all. I was just too curious, or maybe stubborn, to be scared at that time. After that, for many nights, these shadows would just show up, just kind of moving around like they were up to something. They seemed to love hanging out near the fireplace, soaking up the warmth like they were reliving some old memories. And I'm just here going through these books, trying not to completely lose my mind. Eventually, though, I went full detective mode, dug into the history of the house. Turns out, it had more skeletons in its closet than I thought. Family sagas, secret affairs, you name it. This place had seen it all. The shadows, it seemed, were like the keepers of these ancient stories. Sometimes they'd do a silent reenactment in the kitchen, like it was their own personal stage. And now the really crazy part, these shadows weren't just random blips. They seemed to acknowledge me in their own shadowy way. It was like we had this unspoken understanding. I'm typing away at these old stories. It felt like they were saying, yeah, you get us. Now, I'm not trying to convince you I was hanging out with Casper's extended family or anything, but there was this strange peace in the kitchen during those nightly spectacles. It's like the shadows and I were sharing this unspoken connection, bridging the gap between the living and whatever dimension they were from. Again, it's not about convincing anyone of what was happening in that colonial kitchen. It's more about the crazy goings-on between what we know and what's just beyond our grasp. This old house in Massachusetts, with its creaky floors and dark interior, became the silent witness to these things that defied the ticking clock. Well, there it is, my run-in with these shadows in a kitchen in an old house in Massachusetts. However you choose to see it, the mystery lives on. Here's to embracing the enigma and keeping the conversation spooky. Thank you for reading my story. Signed, Anonymous.
And thank you to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing for another great story just like that to kick off hour number 3 of this show each and every Monday through Friday night. You want more? Head on over to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Among the Missing. Just hit subscribe and listen for free. From the missing to the mysterious, Robin Haynes is back with the Cryptid Report.
Laughing at me.
Oh, Robin. How much I love
At least I don't have Dukes anymore.
I know.
You at least got, I'm not called Duke anymore.
But I just love it that you, every time you hear your intro, you start laughing through it. I think that's...
I know. I do. How are you? I missed you last week.
I know, and I didn't say why that you were gone. I figured that was kind of private, but you did lose someone close to you. So
yeah,
on behalf of everybody at Spaced Out Radio, we send our condolences to you. And
thank you, sweetie. I appreciate it. I felt bad. I had to let it happen that same day, so I couldn't give you warning. I felt horrible about it, but I'm sorry.
It happens.
I just wasn't in the best headspace to do anything.
That's all right. You're allowed. There are certain times when you're allowed. I will say this, and my audience doesn't know this because I haven't been feeling very good this week. No, but since Sunday, I went for an abrupt change on my diet, and I started on Sunday, and then Monday I wasn't feeling very well. I had high blood pressure and a shortness of breath, so I went to the hospital to get checked out. And yeah, they told me I was fat, pretty much. And,
so much for helping.
But I will say this: I have not drank a thing but water in 5 days now, and I am totally detoxing. And I'm already down.
Awesome.
Already down 4 pounds. So
I believe it.
I
believe it.
I'm pretty happy over that. So 4 pounds down, another 56 to go.
You, Mr. I need your bio and your headshot for the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference. For everybody out there, Dave will be there the 26th and 27th of April in Grand Island, Nebraska. So will Super Duke. He'll be there too.
I know. You can grab my bio and my photo from our website, spacedoutradio.com. It is there.
Okay, I'll use that one.
Yeah.
Because that will go live on our website the first of the year. And that will be right around the same time. Tickets go on sale if you want to buy them online. You can get them at the door, but you can also get them online.
Yep. That I cannot wait.
It's going to be so much fun. Like I'm getting everybody gathered up now, and we're moving forward. So we're pretty excited about it. We're in a much bigger venue this year. We've got some great guests that are going to be there, and it's going to be awesome. We always get a good turnout anyway, but I think this will be our biggest year yet. And it's all because you're going to be there. I know it's because of you.
Oh, well, for all our audience listeners who are complaining that I never head east, head to this event in Nebraska and come hang out with us.
Yep.
And then a couple
Yeah,
weeks
we'll be
later, you
speaking.
can join us in Reno for the space.
I want to go.
You should.
I would like to. Well, I'm going to try. I didn't make it last year. I'm going to try. That's the best I can do. I'm going to try.
I know. I hope you do. Reno is much cheaper at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort than Vegas. We were paying tickets last year almost near $400 a night for a room. And
oh my gosh.
And this year it's right now you can book at the Silver Legacy Casino and Resort for about $139.
Oh, much better.
Yeah. So, we're thinking of everybody here, but we want to see everybody at the fan party as well. And we'll
definitely.
We'll work on you, Robin, to come on in.
Yep, I'm working on it. I know I missed it last year. I'm going to try this year.
Good.
See what else is going on. So
excellent. We just had Carter Buschardt on. I don't know if you've ever met.
Okay.
I
have not met Carter.
Okay, next year for 2025, you need to bring him to your conference. Okay. He is one of, in my opinion, the best Sasquatch researchers out there. He's also the one.
I will check it out.
He's also one of the ones who helped expose the shenanigans of the BFRO and their statistics.
Well, I like anybody that does that.
So, but anyways, we were talking tonight, and it's perfect that you're here for this.
Cool.
We were talking tonight about, normally we talk Bigfoot.
Right.
He's written 3 books on it, but this time we talked about something that he never knew had happened to him before, which was alien abduction.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you, Bigfoot and, considering it's all part of one phenomena.
Right.
How many people do you encounter that have something strange happen while having a Bigfoot encounter?
I would say normally with the people that I've worked with, probably about 70 to 75% are aware that they've had some kind of an ET encounter in correspondence with that. The rest of them, if you are, like the people that have regular contact with the Sasquatch, if you do any regression on them and go back into their past, at some point in time, there's been UFOs or ET contact. It's really quite amazing. And then for the people that work with the Sasquatch on a regular basis, at some point you will end up seeing the connection. It's just part of it. It all, all that stuff hangs together, and you're going to see all the other paranormal cryptids and things and the ETs. They all pale out together. It's all energy based.
Okay.
Frequency and energy.
So why do you think that is happening so often?
Well, number one, again, it's all energy and frequency. They all have high amounts of energy. They all have high amounts of frequency. It draws them all in. And all these things pale together. Even if they're not buddies and sitting around the campfire together, it doesn't mean they're not hanging out in areas. You have certain dog friends that will share territory with the Sasquatch. And then you go to other areas of the country or the globe, and you have certain pockets that will not be anywhere near each other. It depends on the group. It depends on the location. But the ETs monitor all of our cryptids. They monitor the dimensionals. They monitor the portals. They monitor all of these things. And right now we have a huge concentration of ETs on our planet, as well as watching our planet. And because everything goes back to the same thing, and I always sound like a broken record, it's the energy and the frequency. That's what draws all of these things together. So it's very common. And a lot of people that work with the Sasquatch don't even realize it, and that's what's going on. But the more in-depth you become in this field of research, the more contact with those things you're going to have, and it will eventually come up.
My question to you is it always extraterrestrial? What is there? or are you actually seeing paranormal happenings, maybe other cryptid happenings like fairies or orbs or
Yeah,
whatever?
all the above, all of it. You're talking about one draws in the other. So you can have, like, you might be around the Sasquatch and get dogmen in, or a cat person in, or a goat man, or you may not have any of those things and you may have an ET, or you're going to notice the elementals and dimensionals playing around, or the little people. Anything is possible because they all work off a higher frequency and energy. So it's very common to see any or all of those things together.
Okay, so what should we be looking for?
Well, it's not a matter of what are you looking for, it's just be observant of what's around you. Okay, you're going to look for not only signs for the Sasquatch, but look for anything else that's out of place. And 9 out of 10 times, you're just going to flat out see them. Check the skies, watch what's going on, be observant about what goes on around you. Be observant about different energy pockets. Like, you might be out in the woods and you're walking, and all of a sudden you're going to feel like you walk into a pocket of energy. It's just a matter of knowing that these things are possible, opening your mind to the possibility of it, and being observant in your surroundings. Because everything is very subtle. Every once in a while, you'll get one that is like right up front and center, but it's all very subtle. So just become aware of your surroundings and open your mind up to the possibilities of. It doesn't mean it's going to happen every single time, but at some point, the more you work with the Sasquatch, the more you're out in the woods with them, the more you have contact with them, the greater the chances of everything else filtering in.
Really? Really? Okay. Are we calling in everything because we're calling in Sasquatch?
No, it's not a matter of calling it in. They're all drawn into the energy and the frequency, okay? We know that the Sasquatch is a being that has extremely high frequency and extremely high amounts of energy. Those things are like a beacon. The higher the frequency, the higher the energy. It's kind of like the bat signal from the Batman movies. Okay,
Okay.
they call it binking. So, and the higher that frequency and the higher that energy, it's like on a paranormal spectrum, it's like a neon light going up in the sky. So everything flocks to it because now they've seen it. It's not that we are necessarily calling in, it's coming in because all of these things have such a high frequency and energy. And they all want to stay close to it. That's what they feed off of.
Yeah, and here I'm thinking in my own mind, like if I'm there calling out Sasquatch, I'm putting out the energy, and because the phenomena is one, the phenomena is just picking up to whoever actually captures that signal.
Right. Yeah, so you specifically aren't the one that's causing it. It's not a cause and effect. It's a matter of that's what they do. They all pale together. And that doesn't mean, when I say that, that doesn't mean that they're all hanging out together. They'll be living independently, but they're all going to be in the same area due to that energy and frequency. They're drawn to it like a magnet. It's like if you're really hungry and you go into town and you're by all these restaurants, do you want to go to the restaurants or do you want to go play in the park? You're going to want to go where the food's at. All of these things feed off the energy. And the more it is and the stronger it is, the better they feed. They've got to have the energy and the frequency to survive. And the more of it they have, the better they survive. So they go to where it is.
Okay. Is there a fear, or does Sasquatch have a fear of extraterrestrials?
Yes. There are certain kinds that they are very comfortable being around, but there are also some, and this has been a problem that I know for at least, oh my gosh, I want to say 10 years now, 10, 12 years. There are certain races that actually want to capture our Sasquatch and destroy them and replace them with their own. And what they are they remind me, for lack of a better term, as a robotic Sasquatch. They cannot mind speak. They do not have paranormal abilities. They look at it just like our Sasquatch. Only thing is all they're programmed to do is kill. And what they want to kill is our Sasquatch. Our Sasquatch are not working with the ETs as far as to help certain groups do what they want because they're not doing good things. And so ours have decided that they won't help them. In that same respect, there are races of ETs that are good that the Sasquatch are comfortable with. I have certain people I work with that have actually seen them getting onto ships. Now, I personally have seen the robotic ones capture some of our normal Sasquatch and take them on a ship to get them out. And what will happen is they'll be destroyed when they get them back to their planet. But they will kill them. So yeah, there are some that are dangerous for our guys. I mean, I remember back, and it was like 2012 or 13, we had a UFO over the house, and my guys were paranoid. I mean, they were having a fit. They were telling me not to leave the house. They were going to hide. And I said, what's the matter? And they said, they're hunting. And I said, for what? And they said, us. So there are races that will catch and kill them.
Wouldn't that mean that Sasquatch then is not from here?
Well, I mean, you have some that are born of the earth. I mean, you have some that were created and brought here. The thing with this whole field of research is it's so complex. There's not just one straight answer because you've got things that are created in a multitude of ways. You know, we have some that have been here for thousands of years. Okay, we're the intruders more than they are, I think. But, you know, but you also have some that were created.
Well, obviously, if they're being born here, you know, they would.
No, but I mean, some of them that, you know, even as some of the first ones here are from here. I mean, there are some that were made here, but again, you know, the ETs have their hot little spindly fingers in it.
We got 2 minutes to go here. How do Sasquatch protect people from aliens?
Yeah, absolutely. Not all of them. Again, you know, you're talking about many different personalities, many different thoughts, but yeah, a lot of them will. I know they have me on a multitude of occasions.
What do they do?
Well, the good ones I get warned. I've had them actually stop, you know, any type of contact that they've had, as far as trying to get to me. I know other people that they've intervened on their behalf with them for as well. You know, the good ones are good. The good ones will help us. You know, obviously the bad Sasquatch aren't going to. Like everything else, there's good and bad and everything. So, you know, it just depends on which ones you have around. Like in my case, they stand guard pretty much in my house. Like I have a great security system. So it helps. And they will let me know before anything happens. I had a situation about a week and a half ago, and I had taken the dogs out at night to go to the bathroom, and they were back there, you know, giving me the warning calls. We had like 4 of them back there letting me know, you know, that they were around. And there was a UFO above the house.
Wow.
Just a normal night.
It's always a normal night. Robin, where can people find your information?
You can find me on my website at paranormal-empowerment.com, or you can find me on Facebook under Robin Haynes, Haynes. If you see one that says Robin L. Haynes, that is not it. You want Robin Haynes, and you can reach me that way, or you can email me at rlynne_forestpeople@gmail.com.
Love it.
Or just find me here.
It is always a pleasure to have you here on Spaced Out Radio, my dear. You make us so much better and so much more fun.
You know I love you.
No,
I can't wait to see you in April. I'm excited.
I know, me too. Me too. And we'll start advertising that very, very soon here on the show.
Sounds great. Yeah, and the website for it will be up and running first part of the month.
Awesome. Talk to you next week, Robin.
Take care, sweetheart.
Coming up next, it's the Dave 101 and the strange news of the week. We will be right back for the final half hour. Spaced Out Radio right after this. That's some serious hard farting there, Sovereign. Super Duke. Super Duke. Neil Warden, good morning to you. Having a good night, everybody. Thank you to Ratty Sass. T-Bone with a hat trick. FaZe Will. Gailey for the super chats. T-Bone. Yes. Yes. I will look into it tomorrow. We'll look into it tomorrow because I know it was sent. I'm surprised. Hawk, how you doing, man? Thank you, Paramarv. I don't know what your offer is, Hawk. Quickly, type out your offer. Does it involve steak and beer? No word on Danica Patrick. We haven't heard back. Hi, Lunar Tina. I know, T-Bone. I gotta get a bunch more out too. So I'm trying, buddy. I am trying. Kicking my butt here. Keep kicking my butt. Hi, Penny Van. How are you, my dear? Darling Shelley, are you joining us in Reno? Who's coming to Reno? Who's coming? Hi, Pepe H. How you doing? Loda's got aliens. Lost Souls, how you doing? Good to have you here, guys. Well, I wish I could, Simon, clone myself. Right on. Darling Shelley is coming to Reno. T-Bone, are you going to come down to Reno with us? We'll just hop on a flight from Bellingham. Two heads. I didn't know you were in Australia. We know Tim Mothman and his goatee will be there. His goatee will be signing autographs in Reno. info@spacedoutradio.com, Shelley. Ah. Here is the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate hurting your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can join us on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It is that time of the night where it's time to yell at all of you to get off of my snow. It's a Dave 101.
It's time for Dave 101.
I got to tell you what we all probably already know if you've listened to this show for quite a while. But if you're new here and you're into the UFO world, I'm just going to say it. I'm going to come right out and say it. I think we've been played. No more, no less. For the last 7 years, since the introduction of the To the Stars Academy by Tom DeLonge and the New York Times article by Ralph Blumenthal, Elaine Cooper, and Leslie Keene, we have been played. Now, there's a number of ways we could look at being played because there's a couple of good things that have happened over that time. The good being UFOs actually getting front screen TV without the snickering, without the horrible X-Files music, without the snide comments after the report was done, and the talk of little green men that seem to foreshadow each and every headline of UFOs. Gone are the days where people make fun of this topic because it has come out that there is real stuff out there that cannot be explained. That's a good part. And there are many other good parts as well. Whether it's Lou Elizondo, whether it's David Grush, whether it's the work of Chris Mellon, and many others, there are people out there within the power that want to keep this topic alive and keep it going. I know all of you subscribe to the idea that eventually you would like some sort of disclosure, whether it's controlled, whether it's confirmation, or whether it is full-blown, open up the doors and give it all to us at the same time. But there are a number of tricky questions that come along with disclosure. Number one, even though Grush has admitted that we have crash retrievals and the pilots of those craft, we're still not talking aliens. We're still hung up on threat narratives. We're hung up on this UAP BS that continues to segregate and separate everything from actual UFOs. We've seen it really cross the path with the cancellation of and literally the erasing of the Schumer Amendment when it comes to UFO transparency. Old guard Republicans like Mike Turner aren't going to give up their voters and their maybe, I don't want to say taxpayers' dollars, because it's not really taxpayers' dollars, but let's just say his pockets are going to remain full in order to vote down the Schumer amendment. Why do I think we're being played? That's the important question here. Number one, UAP versus UFO. They are playing us on the fact that we want to be popular, we want to be trendy, we want to be UFO woke, and use terms like UAP instead of UFO. When UAP really means we're outside staring at the stars looking for unknown and man-made objects. That's what they want. The UFO side is still UFOs. I know I'm in the minority of that opinion, but I also know within the UFO community, others are starting to see that exact same point, that there is no such thing as UAP that is not man-made. And when you hear people talk about this subject, they always want to use the trendy terms like UAP. And yeah, that one does get under my skin. Okay. It's like Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. There are certain things that should never come out of people's minds or mouths, and UAP ranks among them. What we need to do is we need to go back to basics. And that's what a lot of the older researchers are doing. They're saying, to hell with everything else. We'll pay attention to it. We'll even recognize it. But we also know that UAP are man-made. Can't have anything man-made that's doing strange things that a UFO would. There are others out there who do not believe that UFOs are here at all, that they've never been at bases like Area 51. They've never been studied on this planet, at least at a military facility. There are others who believe that Lockheed Skunk Works and companies like Raytheon and many more are all playing disclosure for dollars, waiting for that next big government payday, that UFOs are real. It's frustrating. And the reason why, getting back again to why I said I believe we're being played, is more than just an acronym, but the acronym has a lot to do with it. When people start saying different terms because they are told to, you have control. You have control of a narrative. You have control of who knows what. You have a control of which media outlets are going to get the story. You have control. Look at News Nation. Brand new, not even a year old. And there they are, leading with their top story of UFOs each and every night. You know why they're doing it? It's not because they care about UFOs. They are doing it because they know people watch. And when people watch, people spend money. And advertisers want that money. They need that money. They are so greedy for that money. That's just the way it works. It's the disclosure for dollars movement that we are seeing being played out as we speak at this moment. Now, that doesn't include high strangeness. That doesn't include the connection between ETs and UFOs, or ETs and other alien craft that are seen in our sky on a daily basis. No, doesn't include any of those. What it does include is the thought that we have the ability to open up the true story here, except those who are having that pull are much more happy not making that phone call to understand them. And that's as easy as it is. If you want transparency, you better go look for something else. Clothing, transparent clothing, transparent cars, transparent bicycles, drum sets, guitars, whatever it may be. We need to be able to understand that the U.S. government will never, no way in hell, allow this subject to come out. They can't. Think of the hundreds of billions of dollars that has been written check after check after check, including some in the $1 trillion, where all of a sudden the money vanishes, it goes away, and nobody knows where it's gone. And just because of that, certain people can afford things like food. It all ties in together. I wasn't a fan of the Schumer Act. In fact, I'm the type of guy who loves to say, I told you so. And there has been a number of people over this week where I've got to say, I told you so. Even last night on the show with Dr. Bob McGuire and Science Bob and Friends, him and I got a little heated because UFOs does not mean UAP. And we rose our voices at each other. Not much, but enough to notice, if anybody did notice. And the problem that we have is everybody wants to wrap it in together. Well, what about USOs? Those that are in the water, those who come out of mountains, UMOs, undefined mountainous phenomena, or objects, pardon me. Yeah, we see it all. There's every excuse, okay? But that's what the government wants. They want that infighting. They want that people to be arguing on Twitter and only believing their guy or their lady who's providing that information. That's it. That's all they want. They don't want to go further. They don't want to understand that the UAP motion is a big reason why all of this that we are seeing today is fake. Now, I'm saying this as a UFO experiencer and as a journalist. And when you have stories from people coming out to you who've worked in certain bases that are very popular and telling you, Dave, whatever you do at this time, do not move off that track because you're heading in the right direction. I'm mature enough now to shut my mouth and allow the story to unfold. And maybe that's what good journalists do, at least at this point in time. They don't want to give out the information, whether it's Roswell, Kecksburg, whether it's the Aztecs, whether it's the Marfa Lights, whether it's Shag Harbor or the Battle of LA. They do not want to give up that information. In my opinion, they're doing it in private hands in a lot of the Scud Works communities because A, they're void of FOIA, and B, they don't have to answer to anybody in the public. If that's what they have, that's where it's sitting. The government wants to make sure that they have the first fingers, those itty-bitty fingers, in control, so that way they can now make a decision on what to do and how people are going to react. We do need to start thinking. This is why I'm pushing you guys out there for people who love this subject. If you hear somebody using the term UAP, tell them it's UFO, because that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the scam that they have us under that we will follow blindly and faithfully until this subject dies on the Senate room floor. And that's what the Republicans are starting to do. The Elder Guard do not want any meetings this weekend. They don't want another haunting. They don't want another cryptid. They don't want another anything that's strange and weird that's out there on their watch. They don't want it all. They don't want to have us believe anymore. Are we seeing more red flags? Sure. Look at Ross Coulthard in the military patch that is not from Area 51. Many people are thinking, maybe he's bought off. There are people in the UFO community trying to find out who's the players and who's not when it comes to any sort of government cover-ups, conspiracy. I think that's more paranoia than anything. But the one thing that we do know is this. America, you're being played. Your taxpayers' dollars are being hammered into black projects. And if that's good enough for you, that's great. It isn't about supporting the military. It's about supporting the cause that UFOs are here. And that is your Dave 101.
What time is it?
It's time for Shirky Poo's News!
An 80-year-old billionaire and heir to a fashion dynasty is reportedly planning to leave his money to someone unexpected. Nicholas Push, the scion to the luxury design house, plans to designate his former gardener and handyman as his heir. The unnamed 51-year-old man, who comes from a modest Moroccan family, has 2 children with his Spanish wife, according to the report, is set to inherit billions of dollars for Hermes Fortune, who is for Pesh, who is unmarried and has no children of his own. The house is currently valued at over $220 million, and Pesh reportedly owns between 5% and 6%, putting his net worth being about 10 billion or so, maybe 11, making him one of Switzerland's wealthiest individuals. Pesh and his attorneys have already launched legal proceedings to make sure the man, or that is his heir, which involves the billionaire formally adopting the former gardener, and making it all legal. Oh, wouldn't you love to be that gardener? An after-school Satan club plans to begin offering activities to children at a Tennessee elementary school following Christmas break. The Satanic Temple plans to host the club at Chimney Rock Elementary School in Cordova, news outlets reported. It will begin meeting on January 10th in a school's library and run through the spring semester, according to this latest announcement. A flyer about the club says the Satanic Temple is non-theistic religion that views Satan as a literary figure who represents a metaphorical construct of rejecting tyranny and championing the human mind and spirit. It says it does not attempt to convert children to any religious beliefs or ideology, but offers activities that emphasize a scientific, rationalist, non-superstitious worldview. But aren't you doing the same thing? I don't know. That's just me. Let's continue on here. There is no way an unexploded bomb could be dangerous, right? Yeah, well, yes, they are. A Welsh couple didn't think an old 19th century bomb was dangerous, so they kept it as an ornament in their garden. Yeah, Sean and Jeffrey Edwards of Milford Haven in Wales kept their old friend bomb in the garden. Cheyenne said that she couldn't even what was that? Sorry. She wouldn't even bang on the explosive with a trowel while gardening to remove it from its original spot. On November 29th, police officers spotted the old bomb in the garden and alerted the Ministry of Defense. A day later, a bomb squad arrived to detonate the explosive. It I told the bomb disposal unit, we are not leaving the house. We're staying there. And if anything goes up, we're going to end up with it. Well, I'm sure they'll see her in court. Moving on here. The unexploded device was removed from the garden and transported to an unused quarry where it was buried under 5 tons of sand and detonated. A large test showed the bomb was still alive and had a small amount of charge in it. Man, that could have gone off real quick. Real quick. Let's move on, shall we? Talk about stealing the wrong kind of dough. A woman allegedly stole a delivery truck at 7-Eleven in Carlingford, Australia. Likely there was no money in the vehicle. Little did she know that its cargo was only available to those with a sweet tooth. In the early morning of November 29th, a delivery driver made a quick pit stop at the 7-Eleven. That's when security cameras captured a woman climbing into the truck and driving off. The truck contained about 10,000 Krispy Kreme donuts that were originally destined for shops in Newcastle, New South Wales police, whom were likely disappointed that they had nothing to consume with their coffee, appealed to the public on whereabouts of this stolen unit. I wonder where it is. I wonder. Guess we'll have to wait, right? We always got to wait. I don't like that. Well, we got 20 seconds left. What a show tonight. Carter Buschardt so eloquently about his Bigfoot experience. And I hope that he continues to have major success because he deserves it. And for all of you, tomorrow night, let's have some fun again, shall we? Because that's what we do. It's going to be a lot of fun this weekend. So stay tuned. We got you covered all weekend long. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up with the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Soar Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. The seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. All right, let's move that there. Clear that up. Oh, am I tired? Bear with me. Just get everything set up here. Excuse me. Oh man, my bed is gonna feel so good. I'm gonna go for a walk and wake myself up here. Give me 2 seconds, guys. All right. All right. Thank you for that. Shit off. Show us the elephants. What elephants? We only have one elephant in here. Chris 716, how you doing? Skip to my Lou. How are you? DOD. Oh. I'm gonna find the bullshit here. Or that shit should be around here. Taking place there.
10 people up on stage, and you mass hypnotize them all,
Yes.
and so you go be a chicken, and go over there and hump the chair, or make everybody do stupid stuff. So I had been around hypnosis, but other than that, I didn't really know how it worked. So the first time I went under, I had no idea. And the second and third and fourth time, this was one of her. And so when I got under, I started talking like a 9-year-old boy and sobbing hysterically. And I told this incredible story of a childhood event that I remembered completely differently than what actually happened. It's a story I told my entire life, not knowing. And after the commercial, I'll tell you, but it all coalesces. It was just really bizarre. So that's how I find out. My wife, they're all watching me, and I'm sobbing. And they're all going, "What the hell?" The hypnotist. This was one of her first 2 or 3 hypnosis sessions ever. She was brand new, and she was floored. She couldn't handle. I mean, everybody was like, "What? What do we want? What's going on? What's this alien? What?" It was crazy. I mean, they were all, and so I was under. I had no idea. I wake up, and she brings me out of it, and everyone's just staring at me, and I suddenly realized I got tears running down my face. I'm going, what is this? And I was 53 years old. So that was 20 years ago when I found out, and I was so freaked or spooked. I really do not know why, but I did nothing about it until this year. I had these tapes. I went under with Dolores Cannon. You know who she is.
Yes.
I went under with her twice. And then all of the other regressionists were her students. And so I said, well, screw this. I'm going to go to the master because, I need to find out if this is legit. And, sure enough, it was. So I went under with her twice, and the other a total of 7 times, 7 sessions. 5 sessions, 7 tapes. Let's do it that way. And the story is mind-boggling. Someone listening to this right now is thinking the same thing. I think something happened to me when I was a child. That's weird. If someone's gonna tell you on the chat or something, that sounds like me. I mean, it happens invariably. Same thing with Sasquatch.
We get it all the time, my man. Get it all the time. We got about 90 seconds to go before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Carter Buschardt is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. As you were dealing with the emotions of what had happened, I mean, how were you, did you know what was going on? I know you were under, but there's still a little bit of consciousness taking place there.
The first time, no, I had no idea because it's my first time. When I was doing comedy, we used to work with hypnotists who would get like 10 people up on stage, and you mass hypnotize them all,
Yes.
and so you go be a chicken, and go over there and hump the chair, or make everybody do stupid stuff. So I had been around hypnosis, but other than that, I didn't really know how it worked. So the first time I went under, I had no idea. And the second and third and fourth time, I knew that I was talking to my subconscious, or the hypnotist was talking to the ETs through my subconscious. So yeah, in later sessions, I realized how to be in two places at the same time, be off where I'm at and still be here, cognizant of what's going on. And at that, I kept going, am I really saying this stuff? What is this coming out of my mouth? Is this real? Am I making this shit up? I'm going, am I really at that in this stuff? What is this coming out of my mouth? Is this real? Am I making this shit up? I mean, am I making this shit up? I mean, shit up. I mean, that my mouth. Is this real? Am I making it up? I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Right. Carter Buschardt on. Oh, for a swear word. Who's on tomorrow? Paul Hynek is on tomorrow. Paul Hynek. He's really not funny. We're going to have a great time with Paul tomorrow night. Was it that much, that score? You better not be BSing. Holy cow. 63-21? Sorry, it's not that I didn't believe you, but I mean, that just doesn't happen for the Raiders. That rookie quarterback had a good day. They must be partying loud in Vegas tonight. All right, Paul Hynek tomorrow night is our guest. Thank you to Ratsass, T-Bone times 4, and FaZe Will, and Gailey for the amazing super chats tonight. Look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. And let's get together, do it all again, because we're running out of time before the holidays. Just have a good week, everybody. One more day to the weekend. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.